Yeah, Francis Kong started from zero. We started pegging his fee at 20,000, then later on 25,000, then 30,000. At the start, people were really complaining. We used to get him for free, and now you're charging us. What's happening? Mukha na kayong pera. May mga ganun kayong maririnig. Okay, but then people get used to it, and they realize there is cost to their time. And we started representing other speakers as well, like Rosel Ambubuyog. We created what you call the Asian Center for Trainers and Speakers. We started representing also Josette Bio, achievers like her, the only teacher who has actually a planet named after her, the Intel Teacher of the Year, Chot Reyes, of course. AIM professors like Jay Bernardo, and a friend of mine, Eric Villarama, who is an accredited disc facilitator and also the husband of Donita Rose. I was also getting invitations to speak, but I realized that just preparing for a talk would take me so much time and effort. And I would have to decide, where would I put my effort? In preparing a speech and giving a talk, or in the business and representing speakers? And I realized I had an aha moment, and I told myself I'd rather earn 10 to 40% of OPL every day rather than 100% of my own OPL every week or every month. Ask me what OPL is. Who knows what OPL is? Huh? Other people's laway. Laway-laway lang yan, pare. Or other people's efforts. And that is the principle behind, for example, network marketing, right? You earn a little off a lot of people's. So I had this vast network of speakers. So what would I do? Would I compete with them? No. I started to build a business based on this. And opportunities kept on coming. This organizer from Malaysia and the US approached me to help promote this event with Donald Trump, Mikhail Gorbachev, Jim Collins, etc. So every year we were trying to bring in all these speakers. And then what I would do if we couldn't afford them, we would bring in the rights to a video. So for example, Marcus Buckingham, very good speaker. What we did, I just got the video. So you pay a few $1,000s and you have the rights to create an event where you show the video and you have someone speaking in between. So what Bo was talking about, associate yourself with a celebrity, you can do the same thing. You could be a host. You could be a facilitator. You could promote an event and say, hey, I'm speaking, and you know what? Who else is speaking? Marcus Buckingham or any other like these Jim Collins, and you get the rights to a video. And that's what we did also with Malcolm Gladwell. I was negotiating for him to come to the Philippines, but every time I would get in touch with him, his fee would keep on increasing because he would have one bestseller after another. You know, he would start at $70,000, $75,000, $100,000, $150,000. Nung umapa na doon, video na lang. So we launched this video of his talk about Blink. And what I did was we licensed it, and I got my father, Dr. Ardy Roberto, to speak side by side with Malcolm Gladwell. My dad was even wearing a wig. He was wearing the same kind of hair that Malcolm Gladwell has. So that's something you can think about. We also got the license to Zig Ziglar's training programs. And what we did is we had a live event, but Zig Ziglar, since he was already old, couldn't travel, he had an accident, he recently passed away. We did a video cast with 3 other live speakers. And people find it acceptable. I mean, we won't charge as much as a live event, but for 1,500 pesos, you get the best. And then few years ago, we did the same thing with John Maxwell, Tony Blair, and all these other speakers. So we did, and the beauty of this is that you can schedule it whenever you want. You can do several runs. For one John Maxwell videocast, we did maybe like 6 or 7 runs at an auditorium. There's also an opportunity. You might want to think, if you don't have your own material, you could contact a trainer or favorite speaker in the U.S. and ask him to grant you a license. So, for example, what we did with Boris is that there's this leadership workshop by Ken Blanchard, and what we did is based on the book Servant Leader, or Lead Like Jesus. And what we did is we got a license. And so now it's not Ken Blanchard, but it's Boris Wokin who runs the program. Okay. Servant Leader Workshop. And we've been doing that since 2009. There's a time that we also partner with Bo, and I'll show you what kind of arrangement you can do. Or you could create original material or modules and train and license others to deliver it. Okay? So you do what the people in the US are doing. You have your own material. Perhaps you've been in corporate training or marketing for such a long time, or HR, whatever your expertise is, sales. You create material, then you train other speakers or trainers to deliver your material. And you start licensing them. And you start saying, the usual arrangement is, okay, for every training that you deliver, just buy the material from me. I'll sell you the training material, the modules for, let's say, $1,500, and anything above that, that's yours. You just pay me for each. He is not allowed to reproduce the material by himself. He has to get it from you. Okay? So parang franchise consignor arrangement. Okay? The other way is to just charge a flat 15% royalty or 10%. Okay? So it's up to you. So the local speaking industry, I'll talk about that. When you're starting out, you'll get a lot of invitations, and I call this the hamonado invitation. Kasi abonado ka pa. Just like a pig who, the difference between a pig and a chicken, when you want ham for breakfast, for the pig, it's sacrificial. But for the chicken, pag itlog lang, hindi naman siya mamamatay, di ba? Ito, bibigay mo lahat eh. You pay your own way, there's no travel allowances, you volunteer to speak, abonado ka. But these are the conferences where, there are conferences international conferences where you submit your name because that is your expertise and you want the exposure, because what you're after is the business in consulting. And that contract is usually much bigger. An example is, for example, the Hospital Management Association or Hospital Management Conference that is held every year. A lot of speakers go there and pay their own way. They pay for their own airfare, hotel, meals, and they just want to be there because all of the big pharmaceuticals and hospitals are there. Free. Bo was talking about speak for free, accept all invitations. There are different types and sizes of free, so you need to know what you're getting into okay, when you accept an invitation. There is what I call the S size or small, which is sacrificial. Certificate lang po ang ibibigay sa inyo. How many of you had accepted talks? Ang pagbigay sa inyo, certificate lang po. At hindi nyo na alam kung saan nyo ilalagay yung certificate niyan or plaque of appreciation, di ba? Tapos iniisip-isip mo, sana kinash na lang nila yung certificate. There's another size, so after S is M. Milk money. Ayan, 1,000 pesos, pero GC pa. There's sometimes a goodie bag and a pat on the back. Okay, how many of you have accepted talks like that? Ayan. Ako, I accepted one at the University of Taguig. It's very challenging because I was told that it was a family event. It was a family day, and they invited me to talk about my booklet called Buhay na Hindi Bitin. Okay? It was a Taglish talk. So sabi niya, madami, it would be like 3,000 people. Okay, so I went there, prepared, and I was prepared to give my best. And I looked at the audience. Grabe, iba-ibang klaseng audience. But right in front of me were a couple of mothers, and with their babies, and they were breastfeeding. Right in front of me. I don't know if you've been to any event like that, where you have to deliver a talk where there are breasts exposed and babies sucking on those breasts, making sounds. That was by far the most challenging talk I've ever had to deliver. So, sorry, George Talaga yung stance ko, nakaganon ako. The next size is L. Lapid, hindi. Love gift. Love gift lang ang katapat niya. Okay? And the love gift comes when you say to the client is that, okay, whatever you can afford or is in your heart to give, I will accept. Okay? And you do these things because also of love. You're not supposed to think about, you don't do these things because of what you expect to get, but you do it out of a love for your audience and a love of what you're doing, your passion. You have a message. Okay? The Bible says that freely you have received, so freely you should give. So dapat hindi tayo magbilang. But then it gets better, and the law of sowing and reaping kicks in, and sometimes you get XL size. Okay? Love gift plus may extra. So minsan the event is in a resort, like in Boracay. They cover your meals, your hotel, your cash. And I was invited once to give a talk at an Amway convention. And when they told me the venue, I really had to think hard about it because the venue was in Boracay. Hard stuff. Kung ikaw, how would you react? Would you say, ang hirap, di ba, mag-decide kung yes ka or no? And it happened to be the day of the conference was my birthday. And I said, can I bring my family? Yes. So maraming extra. So after my talk, we enjoyed a few days in Boracay. Those are the XLs. And the XXL, love gift plus, they cover everything else. And then usually my extra, my free vacation, and they include something else like an iPad or a laptop, sometimes ganyan, or a camera. And you get surprised. And then of course, there are the paid gigs. Okay? Where now, you start to negotiate. They ask you what your fee is. Okay, so there's really, sometimes you will have a standard. If you go to websites of speakers bureaus, they have standard rates. And I wouldn't put your rate there, but I would put something like, please call this number or email. Entry level, we get a lot of invitations for the likes of Avon and direct selling companies who have small groups, and they're looking for a speaker who could speak for 5,000 an hour, 45 minutes, to a small group, 30 people. Or the insurance companies, we get a lot of those. But I wouldn't turn them down right away, because like Bo mentioned earlier, he showed a slide that shows if you have a book or a product you can sell, and there are 30 or 40 or 50 people or even 100 people, and you have a book that you can sell at 200 pesos, that multiplies your take home. And of course, the top level, I mentioned to you Francis Kong, we started at 25, 30,000, and then it started going up to 50, to 60, to 65, 70, and today we start off at 120. The same thing with Anthony Pangilinan. And of course, it's negotiable, but we start there. And, he has about 300 plus bookings every year. So he speaks every single day, almost every single day of the year. He has 2 or 3 every day. Okay? And that's his life, he enjoys it. Then there's a partnership model. You could look for an organizer and say, I just got a corporate training, I'm retired, I have this module on sales with NLP that I can do, and I could make people buy your product by using NLP, something like that. And why don't we partner? You have the database, and you can represent me, okay? And they market you in the range of that is either you get 20% off the top as a speaker, or you share on the revenues. Okay? There are some international speakers who are also willing to do that, who are trying to get a name for themselves. So you could do the same thing. It could be with a local organizer, event manager. And then of course there's the producer and speaker model, wherein if you're doing what Jomar is teaching you what to do or how to do, you create your own database, then you can do the same thing that Bo Sanchez or even Salt and Light is doing. You could just blast off an email and invite them to a talk that you're doing and start charging. You can also recruit other speakers and use the other people's laway method, okay?
But again, I go back to the question, why are you here? I also asked myself that same question in the beginning. God, if I'm going to join the beauty pageant, what will I do? Yan. And then He showed me to shine your light. And then I went. But why are we here? Madalas pag tinatawagan tayo to host an event, they would tell us, bakit ba, ano bang trabahong gusto mo? Or they would say, oh, we need a moderator, we need a facilitator, we need an MC or a presenter. A moderator, by definition, ito nakita ko lang sa internet, no, is a person who presides over a panel discussion on radio, TV, or forum. So moderator is just one to presides. Parang he just make sure that everything is going according to the agenda. Facilitator is someone who understands the common objectives of a group without taking a particular position in the discussion in order for the whole group to achieve a consensus. And then an MC is a person or organization responsible for presenting a show or an event, parang master of ceremonies. But all of these, you need the following skills. You need timekeeping, you need to keep to time, you need to follow an agenda, usually they give you a program, and then a clear record of what has already done. So if they're giving you a script, you have to cross out what's been done. And then watch the group dynamics. These are just following skills. Later on, we'll discuss this. My objective for you today is I'd like for you to learn how to prepare yourself to become a host or a presenter in case the opportunity arrives. And then today you will learn a few tips to do as a presenter, and then you learn a little bit about the industry of hosting. I cannot stress so much the importance of preparation. Preparation. Because preparation before a speech or a talk already takes so much time. Si Brother Bo prepares 4 days, probably a week before his talk. Ganon din po ang nangyayari sa hosting. Weeks before that, binibigyan kayo ng script. You have to read the script. But even before reading the script, you have to prepare yourself physically. And the way I do that is through verbal exercises. I'd like for you to stand up now. I'd like to share with you some of the verbal exercises that I do. So these verbal exercises are meant to keep your face and your muscles agile. Kasi when you speak, usually nervous kayo, tense kayo. So pag meron kayong verbal exercises and facial exercises, it will put your face and your muscles and your jaw into a better position so you can speak properly. So ginagawa ko yung I, E, O, O. Sinisimulan ko ng everybody say open your mouth as wide as you can. E, O, U. Yan. Tapos susunod magtatakas ako. Ba. No, okay. So, simulan natin yung mga vocals, no? Ngayon, consonants naman. Ba. Everybody say ba. Ba. Ka. Da. Ga. La. Ma. Na. Pa. Sa. Ta. Ya. Thank you so much. How does that feel? So, pag nasimula na yun na yung naman, be. But you know how it goes, no? And next, other verbal exercises I do is modulation. I'd like to invite Sir Randy on stage with me because modulation is very important when you're a speaker. Ang tendency for a lot of us to speak is to speak from the mouth. But when you modulate or you speak as a speaker before a group, on a radio or TV, you have to learn how to modulate your voice para hindi nakakairita. So Randy, illustrate naman to us, paano ba yung galing sa, dito po kayo, ano ba yung ano yung sound ng isang boses na galing sa throat? Welcome to Speakers Bootcamp.
Welcome to the Speakers Bootcamp.
Para modulated pa rin. Ang galing nyo naman kasi, sir eh.
Hintayin mo yung modulated.
O, sige. O, yan daw. Talaga naman. Ang galing naman si Sir Randy. O, sige, yun yung throat. Ano naman ang modulated?
Welcome to the Speakers Bootcamp.
Yan. Diba? So, alam nyo na. So, pag galing sa throat, welcome to the Speakers Bootcamp. Matinis, diba? Pero pag modulated, gaya sa diaphragm, you say, welcome to the Speakers Bootcamp. Yan. Mas masarap pakinggan, mas gwapo, di ba? Mas maganda yung boses. Next, read the script. A lot of times, when somebody gets me for an event, I ask them to send me the script right away. Sa showbiz kasi minsan, last minute yan. So pinadadala nila sa akin, sometimes the night before, sometimes even the morning of the same day. Pero weeks before that, I already asked for a script. And once I get a hold of the script, I read it through it. Babasahin ko yan. And even read it aloud by myself. And then, I do the same thing when I finally get to the event. Kasi usually, I get invited to host with a co-host. So what we do is we read through the script, yung script niya tsaka script ko in tandem. Why do we need to do this? To familiarize ourselves with the words. And as you read your script, you will determine certain words that you need to look up. Baka mamaya merong mga words na hindi mo naintindihan, hindi mo tuloy alam kung paano sabihin. O di naman kaya yung event merong particular theme. Tapos meron silang mga jargon na gagamitin na dun sa event. So you need to understand a little bit para lang you're into the event. You don't come in cold. So I read the script with my co-host para naman naging ma-establish ko rin yung rapport sa aking co-host. And yun, and finally, when you do that, when you get on stage, mas magiging komportable yung banter ninyo because you already have that relationship with your co-host. If you don't have a script, create one. Minsan, may mga naiimbitang mag-host sa mga pamilya o kaya sa baryo-baryo o di kaya sa kumpanya. If you don't have a script, try to create one. So you have to be creative. Actually, hindi ako script writer. Pero, in the process, natuto ako to come up with certain words dahil sa dami ng mga script na nabasa ko. And then, know the program schedule. You need to know what's going to happen within the program. So, you need to know the agenda of the show, the flow of the show. Minsan, meron pa kayong, you need to do a research as well in terms of if you're going to interview a panel, or an important person, or there's a speaker, for example. When you introduce that person, you need to know a little bit about that person. Hingin mo yung bio niya para ma-introduce mo siya properly. You don't have to read his whole employment history or his whole CV. Just come up with a couple or 3 sentences to introduce that person, and then keep that with you in a cue card in order to introduce that person properly. Research about an event. You can ask questions from the event organizers or the corporation who invited you para lang may idea ka what the program is all about and you don't come in cold. Maganda actually kung kunyari mayroong isang corporate event or even a wedding event, you know a little bit more about the boss. You know a little bit more about the couple. Yan. Tsaka yung mga special practices within the event. Kung sabihin natin wedding, ano bang ibig sabihin yung pag-cut ng cake? Di ba? Next, run through. When you go to the venue, you're gonna have to run through the whole program, run through the script with your partner, and then, once again, energize. One more exercise for energizing just before you get on stage. Please stand up. These are things that I do just before a program. Kasi nga, I'm a bundle of nerves just before a program. So this is what I do. Pag masama yung araw ko o hindi maganda yung nangyari the last days or kahit maganda, ginagawa ko pa rin to para lang ma-energize kayo. Because when you energize and you completely fill your body with energy, with life, your energy just is raised up para mas maganda yung maibibigay nyo sa audience. So one thing I do when I energize is this. I say, yes, 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 yes! Okay, why don't you do that? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Say yes 3 times. Yes, 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 yes! Don't you feel energized? Okay, and then this is another thing that I do. Siyempre, I'm a bundle of nerves, di ba? So, ang daming mga energy na kailangan i-focus. Pero bago ko mag-focus, kailangan dissipate ko muna yung sobrang energy na hindi ko kailangan. So, what do? I jump up and down. I jump up and down. Okay? And then I stop. Yes. I jump and breathe in 3 times. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Last one, breathe in and breathe out. That sort of grounds you. Pag meron pa, this is another thing that I do. Shake, shake, shake. Yan, shake your whole body para mawala yung mga problema, mawala yung stress, ganyan. And then I do another breathing exercise. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, raise your arms up. And exhale, bring your arms down. Wow, sarap. Okay, so you're ready for showtime. Sit down. Powerful points for hosting. Okay, after you're energized, now you greet the audience. And one thing you need to do is do that with energy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Introduce yourself. My name is MIRIAM Kimbao. I'm your host for tonight. Welcome to Speaker's Idol. Yeah. Welcome to Speaker's Idol. Introduce yourself kasi may mga hosts na nalilimutang mag-introduce ng sarili nila. Therefore, salita sila ng salita, hindi sila kilala ng tao, matapos na yung show, hindi pa rin sila kilala. You must remember to introduce yourself. And then, state the objective, theme, and expectations of what the audience is supposed to expect for the whole program. For example, so I say, welcome, my name is MIRIAM Kimbao. Welcome to Speaker's Idol. For the past 3 days, our candidates have been under intensive training to become the best speaker in the world, the next Speaker Idol. Tonight, they have a chance to display what they've learned and their skills before our panel of judges. And you, audience, will be given a chance to join in voting who the next Speaker's Idol will be. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Yan. Okay. Sabi na nga ba, kailangan magsulat kayo ng script. Yan na actually ang weakness ko. Kasi hindi ako script writer. So usually when I'm invited to give a host an event, meron ng mga prepared speeches or meron ng mga prepared scripts. So binabasa ko na lang and then I give life to the script. That's what I do. But for me, even though I've been doing this for 12 years, hindi ko pa rin alam kung paano to come up with a script. So for me, I need to know how to create my own script in case I need to host an event without an organizer or pag hindi ako, kunyari, hindi naman sila nag-hire ng professional events production, di ba? So, kailangan marunong ka rin gumawa ng script. Alright, so, create conversation. A host is there to introduce one segment to another or introduce the interviewee or the next panelist or the next speaker or the next candidate, for example. But the main goal of our host is to create conversation, to create a flow from the beginning to the end of the show. So, kailangan marunong ka rin ng group dynamics, marunong ka mag-engage ng audience. Pag kunyari, commercial na, tapos board na sila. Kailangan marunong ka rin na mag-engage sa kanila. Nasa-sense mo rin yung kailangan ng audience, nasa-sense mo rin kung anong kailangan ng show, pag meron kang i-interviewin sa stage, nasa-sense mo, you know how to manage emotions within the stage as well. You try to make the interviewee comfortable, for example, or a panelist comfortable. One trick to doing that is to invite the panelists or interviewees, if you're going to moderate or facilitate, 30 or 40 minutes before their show starts. In that way, you can show them the questions you have prepared beforehand, or you can go through a run-through of the actual interview. Kahit hindi buong interview, pero just to get them comfortable and have a feel of conversing with you, answering questions, or sharing a little bit about their skill or their wisdom that they're about to impart to the audience. So yon, create a conversation. Maraming mga tao na merong script, tapos babasahin lang nila, pero hindi nila alam kung paano mag-thread from one part of the event to another. So you need to know how to do that. One trick in order to do that is to ad-lib. Pwede kayong you can have fun with it actually. You can be creative, just have fun, or ko-comment ka tungkol dun sa taong, dun sa sinabi ng previous speaker. pili ka lang ng mga one-liner or two, hindi masyadong mahaba, para naman you don't take so much time. Because your goal is just to introduce one segment, thread the first segment to the next segment. You're not there to take over the whole show. You're not there to take over the whole show. Be in control. So as you said, since ikaw na rin may hawak ng mic, you need to be in control. That includes being in control of time. Being in control of the interviewee or the speaker. Kung interviewee yan, minsan, ang konti-konti na ng oras, pero salita pa rin siya ng salita, you need to know how to make them stop. At times, this is what I do, I touch them on the knee. Yan, kung malapit lang usually that gives a cue na they should stop, and now it's time for the next speaker. Or pwede kang mag-comment. Once meron kang kunyari salita siya ng salita, tapos meron kang makitang window na pwede mong singitan na, wow, that is so interesting. What do you think, Mr. Next speaker or next interviewee? Yan, para na-manage mo, nababalance mo yung time between one speaker and another. Walang what's that term? Walang nagsasapawan. You must allow the speakers to shine. And do not take attention from them, but actually allow them to shine. You need to make sure that everyone gives equal chance to speak and showcase their wisdom. At walang nasasapawan. And then speaking of allowing others to shine, meron akong nabalitaan na meron isang speaker, nag-host siya ng isang event kung saan super sikat na international speaker ang main event. Ang nangyari, so all this time, akala niya ang galing-galing niya, magaling naman talaga siyang host. Kaya lang, yung international speaker na to spoke to the organizer and said, I don't like your host. He's trying to take attention away from me, which is the main event. So, hindi niyo naman, kung kayo ang host, ayaw naman na magreklamo yung main event dahil sa kadaldalan ninyo.